game plan, but people think of you in the UFC as a knockout artist. But before you came to the UFC, you were a submission threat, right? Obviously, we think about Charles' submission skills. Is this your power against his submission skills? Do you feel like maybe this is a matchup where you can prove, hey, I'm a great grappler too?
To be honest, I feel that I have the advantage in the grappling game also. I feel and I know that I'm better than him even in the ground game. So we'll see how the fight will go, because if I have to submit him, I have all the abilities to do that also. So we'll see. I can knock him out, I can submit him, whatever. The only thing I know for sure is that I'm going to knock him out in the first round or submit him in the first round, because he walks forward. I'm not going to need to close the distance with him. Since the first moment, we are going to find each other in the center of the octagon. So, yeah, it's going to be a first round finish.
Ilia, if you look at Charles's most famous fights, right? Dustin, Gaethje, the two Chandler fights, he gets dropped in each fight. But he comes back and he wins those fights. So when you see that, do you look at it and go, man, if these guys drop him, I'll get him? Or do you look and think, man, if I hurt him, I still have to be very, very careful because he always comes back and wins?
If I hurt him, he's not going to have the chance to come back. Because my power is completely different than the other guys you mentioned before.
Volkanovski, Holloway, Oliveira, would that be the best 3 wins back-to-back in MMA history?
I don't know, maybe yes, maybe no.
There's been a lot of talk in MMA about ducking at the moment. John Jones ducking Tom Aspinall, stuff like that. This was meant to be Islam, that was the big talk. But he moved up to welterweight. Do you believe he moved up to welterweight to avoid you, or because he has his own goals?
Because he has his own goals. This is what I think.
Do you still think that's a fight that should happen? You guys are both forging legacies in different weight divisions. Do you think that's a massive fight that should happen?
We'll see how he does in the welterweight division. If he wins the title, I win the title in the lightweight division. Maybe I move up or he comes down to the lightweight division, and we have the fight that everyone wants to see.
Last one for me, obviously, the Oliveira fight is a massive fight, but the one that's sort of been brewing for years and been brewing in the background is this Paddy Pimblett fight. Do you feel, if you were champion, that he still needs to win one more before he gets that shot, or are you almost willing to give him that early to have that big grudge match and sort of finish that storyline?
For sure he needs to win one more fight, because there are more contenders in the division that deserve the title shot before him. So if he wins the fight, he puts himself in a position where he can fight for the title. I will give him the opportunity to fight for the title, because we have a history behind, so it's going to be a massive fight.
Speaking of other contenders, I mean, there's a lot of guys, but I mean, one can think of maybe a guy like Arman Tsarukyan. I know full focus on Charles Oliveira, and maybe you see a guy like him as a future opponent, maybe the next one after Charles.
Arman, he needs to win also a fight. He had his opportunity to fight for the title. He pulled out for, I don't know for what reasons. So he needs to put his name again in the conversation.
And speaking of big fights and big atmospheres, obviously you've been very vocal about the Canelo situation, and we know Dana's stance on stadium events, but he is promoting Canelo Crawford later this year at Allegiant Stadium. So is there any part of you that really hopes he has a great experience promoting that at the stadium, so he can maybe change his mind on doing the inevitable at the Sandero Bernabeu?
So to be honest, the conversations that I have with them, like, I don't know if I want to do it in Spain in the stadium, because if they make that happen, I had to fight at 4 in the morning local time. So I don't want to do that, to be honest. I'm a professional athlete. I want to fight in good conditions, you know what I mean? So if something changed and they gonna do it in a prime time, in the local time, of course, yes, it would be huge. If not, I prefer to fight always in the United States.
Ilia, Oscar mentioned earlier about the consecutive fights, that the caliber of these fighters. For you, how has your faith been so instrumental through this process of getting to where you are now?
Can you repeat that question, please?
How has your faith in God been instrumental to how you've gotten to this point now?
My faith in God bring me to this point. Everything I have belongs to Him, to the vision He gives me every day, and the strength He gives me. So.
And then just a side one real quick. I know you talked to Rogan a few months ago, talking about how much you love books. What book are you reading right now in preparation to this fight?
¿Qué ha dicho?
¿Qué libro estás leyendo ahorita para la preparación de la pelea?
Charles de Bronx de Oliveira. I'm reading his book.
On that note, Ilia, how much do you like study his just his life story? You know, they just came out and said they're going to turn his life into a movie. You made a joke that you're reading him as a book. Like, do you really get to know your opponent on like a human level before you face him?
Not really, not really. The only thing that I can see and I can feel that he's a good person. He has a good sportsman also. He represents a good values. So I don't have anything against him personally. You know, the only thing is that we're gonna fight. So I'm not gonna be kind to him before the fight. After the fight, I'm gonna wish him all the best and fast recovery.
You're in this like familiar spot again where it's like you're fighting like a guy that people love. Like they loved Alex, loved Max. You know, like does that wear on you ever? Like, can I just fight somebody that people don't like at some point? Are you feeling that at all? Coming into the fight?
Not really. You know, when I get the call and they told me that I have to face a guy, I don't care if the people loves him or not. I don't know. But of course, I would prefer to fight to someone that the people don't like him that much as Charles or Walk or Max Holloway, because I don't know if you can find many people that say something bad about them. So yeah, it's kind of weird.
You think at the end of your career we'll think about you more as a featherweight or a lightweight?
Lightweight.
Yeah. I mean, you know, you kind of talked, obviously, the mood is better, you're enjoying camp better. What other differences are there? Like, not having to think about that weight for 12 straight weeks?
To be honest, the weight cut is the main reason that gives me the opportunity to enjoy the whole process, because when you're hungry, when you're tasty, when